Okay, we have some trunk carpet. As you can see, it's not in the best shape. I'll show you a picture of what it looked like on the inside here too in a moment. Okay, so it looked really bad before, and it didn't get any better when I took it out. Some of the pieces are okay, but I'm going to have it all redone so it all matches. This is the piece that goes in the back, the very back panel, stands upright, you know, around the trunk lock area. This is the actual floor. You can see there's a couple holes cut in there for the spare tire and the jack, where they all hold down. And they're regular carpet. So are the pieces. This is one that goes up around the actual wheel well in the back. The other side is destroyed. I'll show you that in a second. Just up on the inside of the quarter panels, it's more of a felt material than it is carpet. Spare tire cover. And then this piece. There isn't even enough left here to make a pattern out of. Luckily, I have oodles of these Cordobas, and I have one out of my 78. It's a little different material, but the pattern is the same, and I've got actually all of them, so I'm going to take them all in together, and that way the guy can use the good ones for pattern. This is the little cheaper version of it for the trunk material, you know, the actual full-on carpet. That was the fancier version. There's a couple minor differences between the two, but not much, really not much of a difference. So like I said, I've got a pattern for what this is supposed to look like. It's supposed to look that shape. You would never guess it considering the couple little bits and pieces that are left here. So and once that's done, then the trunk is pretty much done. Throw the spare tire in, the jack, boom. And so here are all the pieces for the trunk carpet in these Cordoba. This is actually for my black Cordoba. I know they never put red in there, but I figured, you know what, it costs the same to go red or black or any other color. So I figured I'd go red, make it a little fancier. Anyway, that's a lot of real estate, actually. I mean, you don't realize how much carpet's in there until it's all laid out like that. So you just saw what the old pieces looked like, how bad they were and whatnot. These are the new pieces. Obviously, what's going into the other Cordoba is going to be gray, because that's what color it originally was. So, but I just thought I'd kind of show you how much is actually involved in that. There's, like I said, it kind of surprised me when I laid it out too. Alright, we'll talk about some junk in the trunk. No, just kidding. Just the trunk and junk. So as you can see, I got pinstripe on. I got pinstripe on about 98% of the car. I ran out of the black, but easy enough to put on later. Now this was all originally one piece, and now it's several pieces, but it's as close as it's going to get. Unless you have a time machine, you can go back and find some NOS pieces. And even if you had NOS pieces now, especially of striping, there's a good chance it's not going to be good anymore. Anyway, so obviously, trunk, the key lock, trunk emblem, whoops, is on. That's an NOS piece he had. I think one of these was NOS, or maybe both of them, I forget. No, I think it was just that piece. Anyway, those are on, pinstripe is on, this piece is on. I see I have a smudger I need to polish a little bit. And inside, we have our trunk decal. If it'll focus here for me, or maybe it is, it's hard to tell, I'm bending at a weird angle. Anyway, this was just an aftermarket. We got it from Lason's, I believe. Minor detail, but the original had cut corners. All four of them were just angled a smidge, whereas the replacement didn't. And I think it's just so it would fit, you know, it wouldn't curl up on the various things. And I've seen them here, I've seen them up here. Sometimes they're straight, sometimes they're half on one of these ridges. There's no exact place they are. It's whoever was putting them on at the factory, just slap them under there and call it good enough. Whatever. Just like the jack base, this decal, again, we got that from, I believe, Lason's. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're on this side, sometimes they're on the front, they're over to the hump. You know, just throw it on there, good enough. So, Obviously, as you can see also, I have the trunk carpet in there. If I'm planning correctly, the earlier part of the video should explain the trunk carpet, but it's in here now. And it's got some wrinkles in because that's just the way it is. It's a flat piece of carpet going over a multi-curved floor pan, and they were never that wrinkle-free to begin with because it's the inside of a trunk. Who gives a rat's rear end? Even they were smart enough to not get too wrapped around the wheel on this. But it looks good. This is more of a style as far as the fabric goes that would be fitting of a 78, whereas this had something that looked more like carpet, like the kind you find in the house. Well, that would have probably cost about $1,000 to find carpet that matched that, and to get it sewn up, it's a lot heavier, a lot more difficult to work with, blah, blah, blah. This, not so much. I can have these made in that $350 range-ish or so. So if I want to make more of them or I want to start selling them, the guy I had cut them all and sew them up. That's about what I can get them for. So anyway, it's in there. Obviously, and everything else is ready to go. Got the jack base, got the jack, that's all cleaned up, got the jack handle, and all that goes up in there, and you'll see that in just a moment as I put everything back in there. So that's the way that sits in there, and there should be like basically it looks like a piece of bicycle inner tube that will go over. It's about 4 or 5, 6 inches long. That would help hold the jack handle in place when it's in the stowage position. So, and then the tire will go on and that'll help hold it down. And next piece. Okay, now the spare tire's in there, and it kind of pains me to put the white wall side down just because I hate to risk anything, you know, touching there, staining, rubbing, whatever. It's the only way you can put it in, really. I put a little extra piece of this carpet between here and the rim, just as a paranoia sake for scratching. You know, at the same time, who cares if the inside of a rim gets scratched, but I'm here, I'm going to do it right now while I got a chance. One thing I forgot to mention, where this thing bolts on, there's 2 holes, one here and one about 4 inches farther forward. I don't know what that's there for. That might be where, say, if it had that, what this originally had was the compact spare, the blow-up one, that pushes the whole assembly a little farther forward. A little more of a pain in the butt to get in, but it gets it all in there. Anyway, that's what that is. And now with the spare tire cover on. So it looks so pretty in there right now. It looks really nicely done. Something else I forgot to mention, the valves, since the tire is upside down in here, make sure you put the valve stem, oh, I can't touch it right now, but over on this side or maybe the other, so you can reach it to check tire pressure if you can weasel your hand up in there, because nothing worse than having a spare and then finding out you have a flat spare. So that way you can check it every now and then. Trunk lock key cover. Oh, gravity's taking this thing from me. Here's an NOS one, and let me slide this in there. It fits really nice now. There's a little bit of wiggle in there, which I had to put in there. I'll explain why in a little bit. But these 3 holes weren't in there to begin with because this trunk lid didn't have that. I think it actually came off of a Charger, but they could have had it too. It would have been a little different emblem, but whatever. So, but before I threw the old deck lid away, I made, let's see if I can back up here, this. This was a template, and you can kind of see how it goes here. I stuck it on the old one. It's just contact paper. I use contact paper for this stuff, this kind of stuff all the time, so I know exactly where to drill holes. But, there, hold it up, you can see the light through it. You can see the holes, and then I even marked like the holes for the license plate surround chrome, so I could get it lined up just right, and it was really close to right. These mounting holes I had to drill one size bigger because I needed to shift the whole thing over just a smidge, and I'll show you why if I can do this, like I say, one-handed here. The key. So, here we go. I'll get there, just bear with me. In the back of here, there's a couple little, I guess, indentations, and the actual lock cylinder fits in there just like that. And when I had the holes drilled originally, it was just a little bit off and it didn't sit right. So I had to hog those holes out just a little bit to get this to fit in there really nice. And obviously the key isn't in there, so it fits perfect no matter where it sits. But took a little bit of grinding, but I got there. And I waited to do this because I knew I was going to obviously drill through the paint and whatnot. And I'm fixing one of my screw-ups on the other end of the car. It was totally my fault. So I'm going to have the paint out here in a day or so, and I figured I'd wait until I had paint out so I could put a little bit of paint on that. Get that bare metal sealed up decent before I put everything back together. Okay, trunk key cover medallion, brand new NOS one. I can't find the originals or the used one that came with the car. I think they must have slipped them in a box that is back in storage, so I can't even show you the old one. But frequently it's this spring area that will come apart, so then they don't work and then they break off or they don't spring back. And anyway, underneath there between that and the body is a gasket, and I cut one out of this Felpro. They call it a rubber fiber sheet, and it's exactly that. It's not going to soak up water. The original one was a kind of a plastic material, probably pretty similar to this, maybe even the same stuff. Similar color too. So, but you got to put something on there, otherwise, you know, some of these edges are going to wear through the paint and it's going to rust, and then then you got problems that way. So I was able to cut one, and actually turned out pretty good. It looks pretty crude, the inside circles, but it's the outside edge is the only thing that really matters, because that's what you might see. So pretty simple, but it's important to put one of these on there, and it's using a 3600, and you can kind of see here if I can zoom in, it's the rubber fiber sheet. And this is a variety pack, so now I've got gaskets for whatever else I need to make gaskets for. So that is that, and in a moment you'll see it on. Okay, found it. It was underneath some other stuff here in the shop. I thought it was in the storage unit, but I don't know why I would have put it over there. Anyway, so there it is. It's broken, and there's these little pieces, and then this spring, which I think doesn't look right anyway, but they all go in there somehow. And I thought this was all together. It wasn't very tight when I took it apart, and then everything fell apart, and I couldn't figure out how to put it back together again. So, and then I found the other one, so in good shape. Anyway, there's that gasket. I don't know if kind of show if it'll focus, maybe not. That's tough to see. But this is really, really close to what I put in there. This is pretty stiff right now, and it's all kinds of warped. But so that's the original. You saw earlier in the video what I put in, so I think we're in good shape. We're about as close as we can get without finding an NOS piece somewhere, assuming that even exists. And there we go. Got the emblems on. That one's an NOS one. I had to put new double-sided tape on because the backing wouldn't peel off. But what do you expect after 40 years? This is one of the good used ones we had. Cleaned it up as best I could, put it on. Looks fantastic in the picture. In real life, maybe not quite so much, but you have to be pretty close. And if you're that close to look at some of these flaws, you're probably seeing a few more anyway. That guy's in there, and you can kind of see, you can see that gasket just a little bit in there. And that's about how they are from the factory. And then I got, oops, a little smeary there. Got this guy put on. Those are really tough to find in good shape. And he had several of them, and I picked the best one and shined it up a little more and put her on. There it, well, you can't really see. I got to back up a little bit. There it all is. The trunk looks beautiful. And otherwise, the trunk is done. The trunk decal is on. The pinstripe is on. Everything is looking beautiful right now. So there it is. The trunk is officially done.